We now have the Director of Friends of the Earth, who have been campaigning to save our climate for 30 years, Andy Atkins.
Well, good afternoon. You are heroes on a day like today to be here. And we are here to tell the politicians that climate change is not going away, and we're not going away either until they do something about it. Now, I'm very clear, and you will remember that a year ago the world's hopes were raised, the hope of a deal to save the planet in Copenhagen. But those hopes were dashed, weren't they? Well, this weekend, our politicians head for Cancun in Mexico, and our message to them has to be, try again, try harder, and don't stop till you've succeeded. Now, this government says it wants to be the greenest government ever. We at Friends of the Earth say, that's nice. Now prove it to us at Cancun, and prove it to us here in the UK. Here are 3 things I want you to remember that we want to keep saying to the government until they get it. The first one is get serious about the targets. As Caroline Lucas said, the scientists are telling us that time is running out very, very fast to take action to cut our emissions before we have global catastrophe. Now, the emissions targets on the table in Cancun are totally inadequate to avoid dangerous climate change. And even the UK government's targets, which are relatively advanced, do you know what? If all rich countries adopted those same targets, we would still have a 50-50 chance of catastrophe. Which one of you would get on a bus or a train if the driver told you there was a 50-50 chance it's going to crash? That is madness. Why are politicians taking this kind of risk with the planet? It's completely crazy. We need to tell them, stop messing around with our future, with the future of our children. Go to Cancun, keep trying until you succeed. Get serious about the targets. That's message number 1. The second one is this. We need them to lead by example. The British government has, as I said, relatively good targets compared with other countries on climate change, but they're still not enough. They need to raise those targets rapidly, as we're talking about today, to get much faster progress towards cutting our emissions here in the UK. But they need to do something else. They need to demonstrate the real benefits to this country of moving to a low carbon economy. Do you know how many people there are today shivering in their homes in the UK because they cannot afford to heat them? Government statistics say there are 4 million households in this rich country that cannot afford to heat themselves properly. Think how many people that is. That's probably about 20 million people. But you know what? If we had a massive program to insulate our homes, it would cut the death rate in the winter. It would cut illness among poor people. It would cut energy bills. It would create hundreds of thousands of jobs. And in addition, it would cut our carbon emissions. It's a no-brainer. The government has to move much, much faster to lead by example here in the UK. Now, the UK led the old industrial revolution, which we now know, it wasn't our fault, we didn't understand, but it began what we now know as climate change. The UK needs to lead the new green industrial revolution if this government seriously wants to be called the greenest government ever. And here's the third thing we need the government to remember. They need to get fair about the finance. Poverty is now being compounded by climate change in developing countries, who, as you know, have done the least to cause this problem and suffer the most. Now, I've sat with Tuareg tribesmen in the deserts of Western Africa. They are desperate. The climate is so messed up now, they don't know when to plant their seeds or harvest their crops. They have to watch while their children go dying with malnutrition, or they have to migrate hundreds of miles to save them. This is totally wrong. It is avoidable. Western countries have over and over again promised money but not delivered. Now, the money on the table in Cancun is again completely inadequate to achieve poorer countries adapting to climate change and poorer countries going green. We need to up that money and we need to get it flowing fast. Otherwise, we will precipitate even more disasters. So those are the 3 things for the government. Okay? Get serious about the targets, lead from the front, demonstrate it at home, and then get serious about the money. One last thing, what are we going to do? We're standing here in front of an international symbol of democracy. You understand that we can exercise that democracy to bring about change, but we've got to bring many, many more people with us. Some people are against climate change, some people don't get it, some people are frightened of it. We need to go out and talk to other people we know and explain what we know to get them on board, not just with the risks, but also with the benefits. If we are going to see a major successful challenge to this challenge of a generation of climate change, we need to be the greenest generation there has yet been, in order to get this government and future governments to be the greenest governments there have ever been. Are you up for that? Yeah! So am I. Let's keep going. We cannot afford to stop. Thank you.